Greetings. You are now listening to the Practitioner's Corner, an informative and inspirational podcast dedicated to health, safety, and social justice. Please welcome our host, Dr. Johnny Rice II.
Greetings. My name is Dr. Johnny Rice II, and I will be serving as your host for the Practitioner's Corner. This is a podcast dedicated to all things health, safety, and social justice. The podcast is sponsored by my consulting firm, Social Justice Ventures. Social Justice Ventures is a boutique public health management firm committed to healthy and safe homes, healthy and safe schools, healthy and safe workplaces, and healthy and safe communities. I'm excited to speak to our audience of practitioners, those persons who are in the business of supporting and helping and strengthening others, expanding capacity for community, family, and individual. This podcast has been in the making for several years. I've been considering the opportunity to put something out that would be intentional and meaningful, but at the same token, fun and enjoyable for the listening audience, for those persons who are really in their day-to-day lives trying to become better and trying to help others become better as well. So I'm hoping that the podcast to follow, this initial grounding episode, will be informative, will inspire you to become your best, to encourage those around you to be their best, and to also, with the information and resources provided by myself and guests, to empower those listeners. You know, I remember when I was in my late teens and I was living in Philadelphia with one of my cousins. And in order to live with her, she said, well, Johnny, you can stay with me, but one of the things that I'm going to mandate while you're here attending school is to attend church. And so it was a church in West Philadelphia. And I remember one of the first days that I was sitting in the church and a sermon was taking place, and there was a banner, and the banner had read, "It's not equal giving, but equal sacrifice." And what it says to me and what it kind of instilled in me was, you know, everyone has something to give regardless of what place you may be in society, in life, in terms of socioeconomic status, in terms of resources. We all are in a position to give and to help and support. And that may look different for each individual or each organization. It may vary. And there's also a phrase that I've often used as an administrator and as a leader throughout the years when I've moved to rally the team, particularly when we've had daunting tasks before us. And I would say it's not about perfection. It's about best effort. That doesn't mean that I did not want my team to be able to execute at the most optimal level. But what it meant was we needed to be fearless in what we were doing, and we couldn't be constrained by fear and anxiety. We needed to put our best foot forward. And if we did that collectively, good things would happen. And even at the end of the day, if we did that and we did not execute all of our goals, we could move forward knowing we did our best. And so what I'm hoping with this podcast is it's not going to necessarily be perfection, though we always aim for it, but really best effort, people coming, being themselves, and sharing in a way that connects and resonates with our communities. And so that it's the message is one that can reach people at all different phases and walks of life. I hope that more specifically, the podcast can be a vehicle to discuss emerging research. And so, authors who have technical papers, researchers who are piloting or testing ideas, and they want to talk about what some of those findings are, that this podcast can be a safe space to be able to do that, as well as to have authors who have written books in the realm of social justice, child welfare, public health, in other interdisciplinary areas. And these can be books that are seminal in our field, but they can also be books that are more humanistic in nature and may not focus so much on research, but really participants, people's everyday experiences, bringing the voice and the lens of others through the written word. And we also know that people in this field, in human services and other related areas, develop curriculums. And, it's not often that you have platforms that you can learn about curriculums that have been developed. I may find out about a curriculum that's specific to my field, be it criminal justice or anti-violence in the realm of domestic violence and sexual assault, prevention and intervention and education. But if I wasn't in the field, there's some great curriculums that I may not be aware of just based upon me not being in the area, being directly working in the area of social work or psychology or counseling. And so hopefully I'll have the opportunity to interview guests that can bring some curriculum that's showing some promise to our listeners. And also conference and events. A lot of my colleagues are involved in convening through different organizations that they're involved in, and associations, conferences, and events. So I hope that this can be a space and platform to share some of those upcoming events with you, as well as community-based events throughout the country that are of particular interest, and news stories that also connect to our work. And it could be updates, tips, information that can keep people safe, keep people healthy, and, trends in the health and safety field that are relevant. I hope to be able to bring that information to the forefront. My background, I have 20 plus years in working in the nonprofit, governmental and academic settings. And I've taught as an adjunct faculty at the University of Baltimore throughout the years, as well as Penn State World University. Currently teach at Coppin State University as assistant professor of criminal justice, which is a historically black college and university. And prior to teaching at Coppin, I was the a senior program associate for the Vera Institute of Justice, a historic social justice, criminal justice organization based out of New York City. My practice-based experience comes from working in Baltimore as a foster care worker for Baltimore City Department of Social Services. I work with children and families as an addictions counselor at Patuxent, which is a maximum facility prison in the state of Maryland. I taught offenders or returning citizens that were planning to return back to the community. I taught them in a correctional setting, classes in moral problem solving, relapse prevention, and one-to-one counseling. I worked at the Center for Urban Families, which is a nationally recognized community-based organization that provides excellent support to low-income fathers and families and couples, as well as employment support through Strive Baltimore. And I have also worked as an administrator for the Maryland Department of Human Resources, which is now Maryland Department of Human Services. And there I served as the state administrator for the Family Services Prevention grant program for domestic violence, as well as the state administrator for VOCA, or Victim of Crime Act program funds. And so those experiences, as well as my own personal experience and seeing and being a part of a family that experienced domestic violence, but then seeing change in that family, particularly with my dad before he transitioned. I'm someone who believes that people can change, but I'm also someone who believes that accountability is also important as it relates to harm as well. And so I hope that, and I serve on several national and local work groups and committees and boards, and such as the National Resource Center on Domestic Violence. So all of those experiences kind of help shape the lens in which I see the world, in which I see the work. And I'm hoping to bring on not just perspectives specific to areas that I'm comfortable in, but also to bring in individuals who can inform our community on emerging issues over the past several years, such as human trafficking, and looking at grassroots organizations that may not have the biggest megaphone in comparison to more established organizations in human services and social justice, but are also doing some good work. So that's kind of the hope and the hope that I have for the podcast, to be able to provide a vehicle in which to introduce some emerging work and efforts, to revisit key things that have been critical to the development of health, safety, social justice field. So it'll be somewhat organic as we move forward. So I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this podcast, and feel free to reach out with any information or insight or contributions you would like to make. I can be reached at JOHNNYRICE2, the number 2, at gmail.com. That's Johnny Rice, number 2, at gmail.com. Please feel free to visit our website, my website, drjohnnyrice.com, drjohnnyrice.com, and also our agency that I started several years ago with the aim to also be able to provide direct services and support to individuals and organizations separate from my primary work as an academic. And that is socialjusticeventures.com, SOCIAL, Justice, JUSTICE, Ventures, VENTURES.com. And so I definitely look forward to hosting these podcasts. And if you have show ideas, please feel free to email me, to reach out. If you have some information that you want to bring forth that you think would be of benefit, please do that, because our goal is to make sure that we have some exciting guests that can inform, educate, inspire, as well as empower. Also, our number is 1-800-617-0489, 1-800-617-0489. And just for general inquiries, another email I would like to share with you is info@sjvllc.com. That's info@sjvllc.com. And please visit iTunes. You can type in Practitioner's Corner, and you should be able to subscribe via iTunes. And also you can subscribe to my website once you visit it, so that we can stay connected. Look forward to an exciting year as we build together. Thank you.